A few weeks ago, Joe Blackburn announced that a new Crucible Strike team would be having a look at Crucible. And, well, today, in This Week at Bungie, we have an update from that Crucible Strike team, and we've got loads of really exciting stuff coming to the Crucible. So let's not waste any time, let's go over to the Crucible Strike team and find out what is coming in Destiny 2. Well, the Crucible Strike team say, hey everyone, we are here to give you an update on our efforts to update the Crucible experience. Let's preface this by clarifying that these are not all the things that we're working on, nor are they all that's going to be shipping in Season 23. But that said, these are all features that we feel will have the most significant impact on the overall Crucible experience. These include rewards, matchmaking, playlists, and modes, and our goal is to steer the Crucible experience in a direction that satisfies our most dedicated PvP players. Our updates won't all be perfect, but we're going to be iterating. We're actively taking feedback and data from forums, social media, survey results, and analytics to drive our decision-making process. Some of the changes, they're going to be more immediate, like Checkmate tuning, and others are going to take time to process, for example, spawning data. Let's take a few steps back to the October 12th, This Week in Destiny, where we talked about some of the mid-season patch changes, including Checkmate, matchmaking, and spawning. So these changes went live on October the 17th. So to recap, Checkmate, we reduced heavy ammo spawn frequency and increased the score to win in Checkmate Control. Matchmaking, we compressed the skill band and effectively loosened the parameters of skill-based matchmaking for the Control playlist. And spawning, we made some targeted adjustments to spawn points in Ultra of Flame and Cauldron. Well, at the time of writing this, we're still gathering the data on the spawning changes, so we're not going to be taking any immediate action. But on the topic of Checkmate and matchmaking, we're actively iterating based on feedback and analytics within the season. So first of all, Checkmate, we tuned bows and hand cannons again in this week's patch. We wanted to reduce the damage that bows deal overall and reduce the damage that hand cannons deal on body shots, while keeping their optimal time to kill as it is now. This will make them far less forgiving when missing headshots than they currently are in Checkmate, giving them a more appropriate risk and reward balance. And that should also give other weapons more room to compete. Well, matchmaking next. So while skill compression is functioning as expected, so matchmaking times are normalizing as match skill deltas are widening, this is affecting a greater number of lower skill players than intended. So in general, expect some back and forth adjustments as we fine tune the configuration. Well, all that said, enough about Season 22, let's look further ahead. So first of all, let's talk playlists. One of the first things you'll notice in Season 23 are updates to the Crucible menu. We are reintroducing a new 3v3 quick play node, introducing a new 6v6 quick play node that consists of 6v6 party and relentless, rotating control modes in a new 6v6 unranked playlist, and revising which modes rotate through each node. Well, the update nodes are going to prioritise different matchmaking elements, integrate varied gameplay rotations, and some will host PvP events like Iron Banner or Trials of Osiris. So here is how each node functions. First of all, 3v3 quick play that prioritises connection and latency, rotates through weekly modes. We're going to start in Season 23 with Elimination and Showdown, and Trials takes over this node when it is active. Then we've got 3v3 rank, so prioritises rank for matchmaking, but if rank and skill are widely different, then it blends the two. As an example, an adept skill player who is at platinum rank will be playing with other platinum rank players. Well, that makes sense. However, if an adept skill player is playing down at silver rank, they may be placed in gold rank or lower platinum rank games. It affects the competitive division rank, and random playlists including survival, that's higher weight, and also countdown rush, that is lower weight. We've got 6v6 unranked, so that prioritises connection, latency, and skill for matchmaking, and also rotates through different variations of control, including control, checkmate control, Sparrow Control, and also momentum control. And we've got Iron Banner, that also takes over the node when it's active. So 6v6 quick play, that prioritises connection and latency, rotates through weekly modes, consolidates party and relentless nodes. Then we've got free-for-all, so that prioritises connection and latency. We then got Crucible Labs and also a private lobby. Well, let's have a look in a bit more detail. So we've got 3v3, Regarding the 3v3 ranked competitive node, we decided to simplify it by reducing the number of game modes in the playlist, cycling between one deathmatch mode and one objective mode. As such, Countdown Rush is leaving labs and entering competitive as the objective mode, and survival will be the deathmatch mode for Season 23. So that is really, really exciting. Countdown coming into the main playlists. So meanwhile, the 3v3 quick play node will rotate through Elimination and Showdown for Season 23. Rift is sitting on the bench for now, but may very well return to the starting lineup in the future. And we also plan to look at adding more game types into 3v3 quick play rotator in the future, along with potentially experimenting with testing rule sets and spawn changes for trials and also competitive maps. Then we've got 6v6. So as mentioned above, the 6v6 unranked node will rotate through different variations of control. In addition to the original control, these variations are simply control with a modifier. The core mode rules remain the same, while the sandbox is slightly altered. So by rotating modified control mode, we're segueing into a future where we mix and match modes and modifiers and enable players to do the same. This is a long-term goal, and we're going to talk more about this at a later point in time. The new 6v6 quick play node is a consolidation of the party and relentless rotators in the past. That simplifies the number of 6v6 nodes available and maintains the parity with the 3v3 nodes. Next up, we've got Sparrow Control. So one of the rotating control modes is Sparrow Control. It's control, but with sparrows, the bug become feature. So we hope you enjoy it on select weeks of Season 23. So keep an eye out for a unique medal that will only be attainable during those weeks. This mode's playlist maps will be curated and weighted towards larger maps. But then we've got Checkmate. So we plan to make Checkmate Control the primary control mode for the first few weeks of Season 23. To be transparent, Checkmate has revealed and highlighted a community desire for a refined sandbox in the Crucible. We will eventually want to take some of those lessons learned and apply them to the base Crucible experience, not just as a labs mode. We're not ready to slap Checkmate onto everything just yet, but we are ready to expose the modifier to a larger audience and gather more feedback and data. So some of the changes and features related to Checkmate in Season 23. The ability cooldown penalty is decreased from 50% to 30%. That's based on some tuning changes coming with Season 23, and as always, we're going to be monitoring closely to see how it plays and we'll adjust accordingly. Crucible Labs will include Checkmate 3v3 Clash and Checkmate 3v3 Countdown Rush. Trials Labs will include Checkmate Dominion, and then we're going to be making additional and mid-season tuning adjustments based on feedback. Well, it's really, really good. Really exciting to see Checkmate coming into the main game modes and really looking forward to Season 23. Next up, we got matchmaking and skill. So in addition to skill compression, we're making some more adjustments to how our matchmaking and skill systems work on the back end. In previous posts, we mentioned a fix for lobby balancing, and at last, the time has come. And in Season 23, the lobby balancer should operate more like a snake draft, where Team A gets the first pick, Team B gets the next 2 picks, and then Team A gets 2 more picks, and so on until there are no players left. Fire teams can sometimes throw the balance off of the lobby, and while the system attempts to resolve that best as possible, there are edge cases where the balance will not be perfect. We'll keep an eye on this going forward, and we'll look to improve it when we can. Regarding skill, starting in Season 23, we're going to be able to tune our confidence rating per playlist. Confidence in the Glico-based systems is a way of measuring how sure the system is in a player's demonstrated skill. The more matches a player plays, the more confident the system will be in determining the player's rating. Sometimes the system is so confident it won't budge, or it takes a lot for it to budge. It just knows how good you are relative to your peers based on how you played, but that is not always true, is it? Sometimes players have off days. Sometimes they want to play off meta. Sometimes they want to play an alternate class that isn't their go-to. As such, our plan is to tune this confidence rating so the skill rating has more variance from match to match, and as of now, we're only targeting the control playlist. With these matchmaking changes, we hope to allow for a wider range of skill in lobbies whilst maintaining fairness. We also hope players will feel more comfortable playing how they want to play, be it casually, off-meta, or intensely competitive, without feeling like they're stuck in a particular skill bracket. Well, next up, we got map spawning. So in the October the 12th TWID, we touched on previous spawning changes that were reverted. So back in Season 21, we experimented with certain spawn changes for Clash and Control, and while the changes did achieve more variance and unpredictability in the spawn points, it did not prevent players from spawning out of sight of other players or dangerous projectiles such as supers. Since then, we've begun experimenting with new features for our spawning system, and these will hopefully give us that variance and unpredictability while also avoiding spawn trapping and peaking issues. These features, they are still in development, but we'll definitely revisit this topic soon. In the meantime, let's talk about changes that are meant for this release and the immediate future. So we've got some tunings lined up for several maps: Midtown, Meltdown, Endless Vale. These changes will be more subtle along the lines of previously mentioned Altar of Flame and Cauldron changes. So while these changes alone are not intended to completely solve the spawn trapping issues, they are intended to work in conjunction with a set of changes planned for down the line. The goal is to improve the overall experience of spawning players in a safe and less predictable manner. Well, next up, let's have a look at competitive. So we made several changes to the competitive division, including rank adjustments, promotions, relegations, modes, and also mode rules. So first of all, competitive rank adjustments. So in Season 23, we're making some changes to how rank points are adjusted post-match. In general, we are simplifying the formula and putting more emphasis on wins and losses. The major points are as follows. We're removing the performance factor. Wins and losses are what matters. We are removing inflation protection. Will no longer reduce your rank points gained if your rank exceeds your skill. We're going to retain deflation protection, so if your rank is below your skill, it will still accelerate you upward. Ultimately, we still expect rank to correlate with skill, but we won't be so heavy-handed about it. We hope these changes will make more points gains and losses feel a bit more consistent. Well, next up, promotions and relegation. So we're removing promotion and relegation series requirements for all divisions except Adept and Ascendant. Going forward, you will only need to prove your skill when entering the most elite of ranks or keeping yourself from dropping out of them. For example, if you are a Platinum player trying to reach Adept, you're going to enter a promotion series. Conversely, if you are an Adept dropping down into Platinum, you will be able to defend your place via the relegation series. So in conjunction with the rank adjustment changes, we hope to smooth out the climb to your intended rank, while maintaining some of the amount of the prestige expected for upper divisions. Next up, we've got mode rules. So we briefly discussed the two competitive modes above, so Survival and Countdown Rush. Let's go over the changes to the rules. So Survival, increase the respawn count from 4 to 6. Countdown Rush, points to win have decreased from 6 to 5. We've decreased the round time from 120 seconds to 90 seconds. Due to the round time decrease, we've also decreased the heavy ammo spawn from 90 seconds to 60 seconds. And respawns and revives are enabled and now unlimited. If a game goes to 4-4, the final round will have the elimination rule set enabled, and this will show up as sudden death. In general, we made these changes to normalise the pacing and match time across the two modes. Well, next up, we've got Trials of Osiris rewards. So in Season 23, we're going to be making a small change to Trials rewards in preparation for some larger changes coming alongside the final shape. And also, they're going to have more details to share a little bit later down the road. In the meantime, we're going to be adding a small set of weekly rewards that trigger depending on how many wins you get in a row before your card becomes flawed. There'll be 1 for 3, 4, 5 and 6 wins on a card, and if you get to a higher win total first, you get all the tiers below it too. So these rewards are going to be granted in the post-game loot stream when your card becomes flawed, and they are currently set up to grant the following. So 3 wins, Trials Armor, 4 wins, 5 enhancement cores, 5 wins, a Trials weapon, and 6 wins, 3 enhancement prisms. These rewards are only the first step in our journey to make Trials a more rewarding experience for those who cannot go flawless consistently. We also just increased the drop rate of Adept weapons on a 7-win card after flawless back up to the level it was when the flawless pool existed. In addition to those reward changes, we're also going to be running a weekend of Trials Labs where the Checkmate modifier will be active in the playlist, and we look forward to seeing how it shakes out in a more competitive setting other than the standard Crucible Labs. So next up, we got We'll Keep You in our sights. So when we introduce unique weapons for competitive rewards, We're keen to make sure that folks had very cool, powerful, and ultimately attainable weapons for competitive play right out of the box. Lo and behold, that is exactly what we got with Rose and Mercurial Overreach, both showing up in the top 10 weapons used in trials across many weekends in the last few seasons. However, there's a pretty clear elephant in the room. Anyone who wasn't there for those 2 initial seasons doesn't have access to those most reliable guns in the sandbox, and once those weapons have gone away, enter competitive focusing. This focusing system breaks some new ground. We wanted to make sure that we didn't lose the identity of these weapons of being part of the Crucible, and most importantly, as a reward for climbing the competitive ladder. It also stood to reason that if folks were going to earn these weapons, we want them to be active in the competitive scene in the same way that players earn focus rewards from other modes like Iron Banner, Nightfalls or Trials, and we considered the possibility of another cipher or using a different currency that tied into the identity of these weapons, such as Ascendant Alloys, but ultimately we decided that since these rewards were for testing yourself against tougher opponents and working your way up the ladder, participating in competitive should be the key to earning them. Starting in Season 23, all retired competitive rewards will be available to focus from Shaxx's Legacy Crucible focusing menu. However, it's not as simple as having the engrams on hand. Shaxx expects you to test your metal as well. You're only going to be able to focus them once you complete your placement matches. Unlike other focusing options, you're going to be limited to a number of weekly focuses based on the highest rank that you've achieved so far this season. So untested will be 0, copper will be 1, bronze is 2, silver 3, gold is 4, platinum is 5, adept is 6, and ascendant, that is your lucky number 7. Well, the cap on how many you may focus can be changed mid-week, but only if you rank up. Every week, to keep focusing, you're also going to have to finish your weekly matches. Don't worry though, we're not going to have a decreased number of weekly matches you get during a single season. The max rank you earn will always be what we count you against, so if you have a rough week or an unlucky streak, you won't be punished at the prize counter. Last but not least, the price. These weapons are intended to be some of the most reliable weapons for Crucible play available, and as such, we consider their value to players similar to adept weapons. Since Guardians are already committing themselves to regular engagement in competitive play, the going rate for focusing these weapons will be 3 Crucible engrams and 25,000 Glimmer. As always, we're going to continue to monitor and adjust the drop rates of materials and engrams to ensure the players at all levels can reasonably spend their competitive focusing uses, and now you want to get out there and make Shaxx proud. Well, finally, we've got more to come. So as mentioned, this isn't everything we're shipping in Season 23 and beyond. There, of course, is Iron Banner Tribute, Relic Mode revisions, and a reprise of the Dreaming City Crucible map, the Citadel. We're going to be looking forward to sharing additional updates in the future, including increases in ritual activity post-match rewards. That's more Glimmer and enhancement cores. So there's a lot happening here. There's plenty more we want to do, so please pardon our dust as we continue improving upon that Crucible experience. Well, loads of really exciting stuff there. I really like the fact that Checkmate is coming into more game mode. It's going to be really interesting to see that available in Trials of Osiris. I really like the fact Bungie are moving that mode out of labs into regular Crucible. Also making those weapons available via focusing. Rose and Mercurial Overreach are some of the best weapons for Crucible in the game. So it's really good that new players can now get hold of those weapons, especially Rose. That is a really fantastic hand cannon. But there's loads of stuff there, and if you are into PvP, I really want to hear from you. I really want to hear what you think about this latest update from Bungie. It'd be really good to hear your thoughts. Well, that is it for all the changes coming to PvP in Destiny 2, and it looks like those changes aren't too far away. But as always, thank you so much for watching or for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you real soon.